Welcome to Wage Zero, where I share my journey about building wealth and making work optional. Today I want to talk about what stocks to buy. So imagine that you choose stock picking like me, then you have to answer the question what you should buy. And I'm going to share my thoughts. You might have your own way, but this is what I like to do. So there is a huge number of companies, and here they are sorted by market cap. So one of my ideas is that the market rewards the companies. So the companies with a bigger market cap are the ones which are the best. So right now, I could say that Nvidia is the best company of the world, but of course there are lots and lots of companies, thousands of companies. So what should I buy, right? So I have two rules. The first one is that they need to pay dividend, of course, because I want to invest in dividend stocks. I like to get paid. And the second one is that I probably only want a certain number of stocks, right? I don't want to hold 1,000 stocks. I also don't want to hold just 10. So what I came up with is more or less the SP 500. They hold the most valuable 500 companies in the US. So if I go to the page 5, so here I can see if I go to the number 500 company by market cap, this is worldwide companies, not just US, but more or less the market cap is 50 billions. So that means that every company below that market cap, usually I just ignore it. Because I need some cutoff number to stop looking for companies. I'm not going to follow 10,000 companies, right? So it needs to be a company big enough to put my eyes on. This means that I will exclude companies that are small and they are growing. So I might not get, probably I will not get the highest returns, but this is not about getting the best return. It's about investing and enjoying investing, not to be constantly worrying about growth estimates or checking the portfolio. I just want this idea that I'm holding quality companies, leader in the sectors, and I don't have to worry too much about them. It's not about getting the best results. Okay. Right now I hold 20 companies. I think a good spot for me would be something between 50 and 100. I will not want to go beyond 100. So I think, yeah, 50, around 50 or more could be a good number for me right now. So what I usually do first is I look for sectors that are cheap. Some years ago, it was healthcare and tobacco, for example. So what I would do is I go to categories and I look for, let's say, tobacco. So tobacco is a sector that I'm not very bullish about it, but I know that people still smoke and they are using these new vapors, also products with less nicotine or without it. So I'm still want to have some exposure in that sector. Also, they usually pay a lot of dividends. They have high yield. So what I will do is I will go to a sector like tobacco sector, and I will check out maybe the top 5 or top 10 to see how is the podium of the companies. And here I clearly see that there is like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5 that are dominating the sector. So I will put my eyes onto these ones, and I will try to research which ones are the ones I want. As I said, because tobacco companies are not I'm not very bullish about them. I don't want to have too much exposure. I will probably just check the first three. Um, because Japan and India, they are emerging markets. They are less mature, more risky. Also, there is more upside, but I'll probably just look at these three. In fact, I have this one, British American Tobacco, and I have Philip Morris International in my watch list. And this is one, Altria Group is one that I have to check out yet. But I will have probably these three. I would like to have these three in my portfolio, I think. And as I said, here you can also check the dividend. So if I see Philip Morris is about 3%, but yeah, now it's in all-time high, so dividend yield is not too high. But if you bought around this year, that was kind of forgotten, your yield on cost will be much higher. British American Tobacco has a higher dividend, 5%, even though it's close to all-time highs. It recovered a lot. And Altria Group also, 4.2%. So it's nice dividend yield, even though it's getting close. Well, it's a bit below these all-time highs, but close to the recent highs of 2017. Another sector that is going through a bad moment is the luxury goods, consumer discretionary. And here we can see some of the top companies like Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Richemont. So here I'm not too bullish in luxury, so I will probably not go beyond the top three. I already have Louis Vuitton in my portfolio. I have Hermes in my watch list. I still have to look at Richemont. I looked at Dior, but I didn't quite like the margins also. Having Louis Vuitton, I think Dior is not adding too much to my portfolio. And the one thing about the luxury you have to take care of it is the target audience, right? Because the only one targeting the super rich is Hermes. Therefore, they have crazy margins, they have crazy brand recognition. Probably it's a company that you want to hold forever. But the other ones, they are targeting more the middle class or the high class. That is more about aspirational luxury, right? They want to feel like they are rich, although they are not. So they are more prone to have downturns. They are more vulnerable to cycles in the economy and so on. But I will probably hold 2 or 3 of these leaders for sure. Another sector that is going through tough times is the consumer staples or food sector. So here we have recognizable brands like Nestle, which I hold, McDonald's, which I recently added, Unilever, which is merging its food division with McCormick. So I'm just waiting to see how things turn out. DoorDash, I will say this is a more tech company, not food. Mondelez, they have a lot of recognizable snacks. Compass Group, this one I don't know it, and then Danone. So I'm not too bullish on the consumer staples sector, but I want to have some exposure as well. So probably I will go with 3 or 4 of these companies. It's up to you, but for me, I think I will go with Nestle, McDonald's, Unilever, Mondelez, maybe Danone. The thing I don't like about Danone is that they only pay once a year. Some people, they don't care about the frequency of the payments, but I do, because I'm trying to build an income, a passive income monthly, and it's already difficult if you have companies paying quarterly. So some months you get paid a lot, some months you don't get paid too much. And if you add companies that they pay semi-annually or even just once a year, is becoming even harder. So why would I complicate my life like that? So I'm a bit hesitant to add Danone, but I'm considering it. Alcoholic beverages. So here we have some big Chinese companies, but I'm going to ignore them because I'm not seeing China very investable. Only a very selected companies from China are the ones I will hold, like Tencent, biggest Chinese company. But for the rest, we can see InBev, Heineken, Ambev, which is the Brazilian subsidiary of InBev, Diageo, and Constellation Brands. So there are not too many players, the big players. So also I'm not very bullish on alcohol, so I will maybe take a look at only um, three or four, maybe this one. Well, this is a subsidiary, so I will choose maybe InBev, Heineken, Diageo, maybe Constellation Brands, and that's all. But this sector is getting decimated, so there are opportunities. For example, Diageo is yeah, it's going down like I don't know, like a nuclear bomb. Alcoholic beverages. So here we have some big Chinese companies, but I'm going to ignore them because I'm not seeing China very investable. Only a very selected companies from China are the ones I will hold, like Tencent, biggest Chinese company. But for the rest, we can see InBev, Heineken, Ambev, which is the Brazilian subsidiary of InBev, Diageo, and Constellation Brands. So there are not too many players, the big players. So also I'm not very bullish on alcohol, so I will maybe take a look at only um, three or four, maybe this one. Well, this is a subsidiary, so I will choose maybe InBev, Heineken, Diageo, maybe Constellation Brands. The good part about this sector is that right now it's getting decimated, so there are opportunities for buying. People, I think the new generations are drinking less, although in some reports like earnings from Diageo, we have seen that that is not the case. There are some areas with drinking is increasing, and overall is just frozen on increasingly with a slight increase. But I think they will eventually evolve. They will release new products with less alcohol, and they might release mixtures with soda and alcohol. So companies they change, they shift. There are also some sectors that I don't particularly like, neither invest in them. For example, automakers. If we exclude Tesla here because it's more than a car company, we can see Toyota. Well, Ferrari is also is almost of a luxury company rather than a car company. So maybe this one is one of the best candidates for buying and holding. But let's see the classic ones like Ford, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW. So as I said, Ferrari I think is a company that I will hold because it has some brandings on something that other automakers don't have. And as you can see, the graph now is doing a tough phase, but the graph is looking good. It's a healthy, positive trend. Although the the ratios are quite high, so it's not cheap at all. Even though after this um, downturn, but for example, if we look at Toyota and the rest of companies like Ford, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW, we can see that they are quite cyclical, and many of them they are just flat. This is quite cyclical. Look at this volatility. This is crazy. Ford is basically flat from the last 25 years or 30 years. Mercedes volatility, cyclical, completely flat. You even lost money if you bought 25 years ago or so. Volkswagen again flat and now losing money. You don't make any money. They paid a lot of dividend, but yeah, you get. Oh, it's not showing here, but for example, yeah, BMW, same. It's not showing the dividend here, but strange. Usually they paid like 7. Yeah, exactly. For example, you get 7-8%. They attract you because they pay quite a high dividend yield, but you are getting obliterated in your principal investment. The problem with the car makers is that uh, they need a lot of capex. They are capital intensive, and they are very prone to have problems in the cycles of the economy where there are downturns. That's one thing. But the critical one is the second part, second thing, which is there is no mode whatsoever in these car companies. Is because there is no much difference between one car to another car. They are functional. They might be a bit more luxurious, but there is no distinction between brands. So that causes pricing wars between brands, and it's not a good business, not a good sector to be in. As you can see, you're basically flat or even losing money. You're probably flat if you count the dividends you have getting, but this is going to hurt your soul. You don't want to be in this sector, as you can see. I might only consider Toyota because it's the biggest one and the cars are very reliable, but still it's one with best trends, but still the volatility and the cycles, they are quite huge. It's not something that is going to add stability in your portfolio for sure. Another thing to consider is, for example, until now I was only looking at maybe top 5 companies, but if the market cap of the sector is huge, like pharma or maybe healthcare, I will consider maybe the top 10, because you can see that in pharma we have very big companies and the market cap is like 7 times the sectors we have watched before. So here I would consider maybe up until top 10 or 12, something like that, with more companies, because I think it makes sense if the sector is bigger to be a bit more allocated there. I don't really care about exactly equal weights in every sector. I am fine overweight in some sectors, particularly pharma, because I think in the future, with people aging, we are going to need more medical care. So drugs, medical equipment, hospital, real estates, those kind of things, I'm bullish on. So another way that you can use this tool is to look by country. You can even look by region, like European Union. But if you want companies from the European Union, you can take a look. You have the companies like SML, Vuitton, Siemens, L'Oreal, Novo Nordisk, Hermes. I have some of these, and probably I would like to have this top 10, except Prosus, because I don't like the business, and Seagate because I think is overvalued right now. But you can also check for specific countries, like Germany have Siemens, SAP, Allianz. So this is how I look for the companies I want to buy. I look at different sectors, the leaders, top 5, top 10, depending on how big is the sector, and then I do a little bit of research on of them, and I add the ones I like to my watch list, and then when I see that the price is fair, I add those to my portfolio if I have enough liquidity. So this is probably not the most efficient way. You are not going to get the best results because they are leaders, they are consolidated companies, they are not going to grow a lot in most cases, but it will give you peace of mind. This is something that I think is very undervalued in this investment sphere, because when I look at my portfolio, I'm happy to have a piece of these amazing businesses. I'm not too worried about my portfolio in the short term. I'm not watching it 24/7. I'm not too worried about earning seasons, because I know they are great companies, and if something goes wrong, they might recover. Of course, I have to keep an eye on them, but it's not something that I have to worry too much about them. And that aspect is also giving me quality of life. So I think, at least for me, it makes sense to do it this way. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.